What's up, guys? This is Eric Vasquez here from teachmetodesign.com, and today I'm going to show you guys how you can retouch imperfections and blemishes in any of your portraits. Alright, let's get started. To kick things off, I've got this photo of a young man here, and as you can see, he's got a couple of blemishes and pimples and imperfections, but thanks to the clone stamp tool, this is actually pretty easy to fix in Photoshop. So the first thing we're going to do is select the clone stamp tool, which you can access actually by pressing S on the keyboard, and you'll see that shortcut here. If you click and hold down on the tool, it'll actually show you the keyboard equivalent of that shortcut. Eraser tool is E and so forth. So on to cloning. Alright, once you have your clone brush, you can either make it larger or smaller by using the left and right bracket keys, and you can also control the opacity of the brush up here. Conversely, you could use the numbers on your keyboard and actually type in whatever percentage you want it to be. So for now, I'm going to stick with about 40%. And a little bit to the right, you'll see that you have a couple of other options. This thing here says current layer, current and below, and all layers. You want to make sure that you have current layer selected like this. Okay, and from there, go ahead and make a copy of this layer by pressing Command J on the keyboard. This is just so we have a copy to work off of, and if we mess up, we can always go back to the original. This is one of those things that it's kind of easy to overdo it. So let me show you how it works. You have the Alt Option key selected, and you want to select an area of the skin that is pretty clean, right? Maybe over here, and then just click your mouse over the area that you want to conceal and cover up. Alright, and here I'm using a pretty small brush to do this, but it depends on the size of the area that you want to fix. If it was a larger area, you could probably get away with using a larger brush, but for details that are this minuscule, it's probably a better idea to just stick with a smaller brush, because you don't want sections to overlap, because that can look a little bit weird. You want to try to match the tones, and even right here, I just had to hit the undo key a few times because I kind of messed up a little bit. So don't be afraid to zoom in and get a better look and see how things are progressing as you begin to work. Okay, and the nose can be a little bit tricky too because of the specular highlights that show up there. So you really have to give it a little bit more care and attention sometimes, but any area where there's strong highlights that appear, you don't want to cover it with a piece of darker skin tone, because it's just going to look unnatural and kind of out of place. So that's something to keep in mind while you're doing this. Another thing that I should mention is, in a lot of retouching, let's look at this scar over here on his eye, for example. You could clone that out, but I think as a general rule of thumb, if it's something that's there for longer than a week or two, you should leave it kind of as is. Like over here, he's got a couple of moles or whatever, just marks there on his face that we should probably keep. But I'm just going to continue to do this technique a little bit more, and try not to rush it too much, even though I want you guys to see how it works. But as you can see here, there's quite a bit on the nose to handle. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue to use the clone stamp tool a little bit more, and try to follow the textures on the skin and things like that. This is just one thing that you would usually do, and if you're retouching a portrait shot, or maybe just a nice photo that you want to get framed for somebody, or anything like that. You see the cheeks are a little bit tricky too, just because of the highlights that we have here. But for the most part, you can kind of see how much it's helping. And You know, a little bit goes a long way, as I was saying, but you know, it's worth it once you kind of get going. And you can see how we're progressing so far just by turning this on and off. So it is actually helping our friend out a little bit. Ooh, okay. So bear with me, guys, here for a couple moments while I just finish this up. You know, I think if you change the opacity of this, it may go a little bit faster, so I'm going to bump it up from, you know, 30 to 60%. And by keeping a softer edge brush for this instead of a hard edge brush, it's going to make some of those transitions a little bit smoother. And by that I just mean, you know, when you're pasting in areas of skin, the softer edge tool is going to allow you to you know, kind of gradually build it up or gradually blend, rather than, look, if I use 100, you know, sometimes it can be a little too rough. But actually for his cheek and his chin, it's not that bad because it's a larger area. But again, you know, I want to be careful of the chin here because I'm kind of messing up some of the tones a little bit. If you're not careful, then this can happen to you. So, but, you know, you can always just kind of go back and even out little patches. You know, one other thing to keep in mind is you don't want to sample too much of the same with the same stamping. So, you know, you want to keep resampling as you go. Just try to keep some of that texture in there. So there you go, guys. I think you kind of get the idea of how this works. Of course, you could do more to retouch this and help the skin out and everything like that, but I just wanted to give you guys kind of an overview of this one particular tool. And, you know, let's do this. Yeah, you can really kind of see how that helps out. And one thing I want to do real quick is show you too, you can always take something like your lasso tool on your original photo, and with your selection active, press Command J to make a copy of that selection. And then what you can do is kind of move that layer to the top, and you'll have the original area back, you know, if you mess up or anything like I did. So you know, don't be afraid to try that. You know, don't be afraid to mess up, because, you know, that's how we get better. So I just really wanted to bring back in some of the texture here. And then I'm going to merge those two layers by selecting both and pressing Command E. And then I'm going to come back down and just go over this area one more time a little bit more carefully than before. There we go. Alright, guys, that about does it. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and if so, sign up for our newsletter to get all of our updates and new tutorials and everything like that. Please help us out with a thumbs up and let us know how we can help you design better.